I really want to start hearing, and I know you guys recently asked for feedback, and I really want to start hearing a little bit about the lived experience side of it. So just where you guys give your perspective on things that are happening, in the world of brain injury, in the world of like living with the disability.
Opinions shared by the guests of the show are their own and do not necessarily represent the views of the host, bindwaves, or the Brain Injury Network. This podcast is for informational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of a healthcare provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Brittany, and a member of BIND and a brain injury survivor.
And hi, I'm Carrie, a stroke survivor and a member of BIND as well. And today, we're going to welcome Diana Diaz. She has been involved with the Brain Injury Network since the beginning. She started as a volunteer, moved into a unit coordinator position, focusing more on work readiness, and then moved into the program director role. And Diana is now our executive director. So welcome, Diana.
Thank you, guys. It's been a little while.
I know.
I'm super excited to be here with you guys. It's the first time that I'm with Brittany, so I'm super excited.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. So, we first had you on as a speech therapist and to kind of talk about the work readiness program, but it's been a couple of years. That was in the beginning. So, for our listeners, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself and then kind of how you've moved around with BIND and how you feel about all that?
Yeah, I've been with BIND in some capacity since basically you guys had a building. And so many of you guys I've known for many years. I'm first and foremost a mom to a senior now in high school, and really just have been grown with the organization kind of very naturally. I spent most of my time on the program side, and now I'm learning all of the things related to the business side and what it takes to continue funding the clubhouse and keeping the lights on.
All right. So we're going to talk about the year recap. So the good. So let's get started with the accomplishments that BIND has made over the last couple of years.
Yeah. I would say definitely the biggest accomplishment happened right at the beginning of the year, or at least we found out about it at the very beginning of the year, and that's that we received our 3-year CARF accreditation. And that's super important for us to have so that we can there's certain types of funding that we're eligible for by having that accreditation. It took a lot of work for members, for staff, and then even really involved a lot with the board of directors this year. So we're super proud of that accomplishment. And I think we've done a really nice job of continuing the procedures and things that we have to do to kind of keep that accreditation when we have to renew it in 2027.
Sure. So, Diana, remind me, because I already forgot.
I don't know the acronym.
Well, we'll tell you. We'll spell it out in the show notes. But yeah, I don't remember what it's. I know it's like accreditation something. I don't know, rehab facilities or
no. It kind of there's all different kinds of things that CARF serves. So it's not specific to rehab necessarily. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. I don't know. Bad question. Just kidding.
How have the clubhouses grown?
Yeah, so overall, each clubhouse has kind of kept pretty steady. I got the information, I guess, over in 2023, we had about 69 active members. Last year, we had 95. This year, our goal was to go, between 100 and 105. We are currently at 97 active members over the year. That's between both clubhouses. Okay. Currently, our active membership in Plano ranges usually between 45 to 50 over each month. And then in Fort Worth, it's usually between 16 and 20.
Okay. And then I know we've also had staff changes. With you moving into the director role, that created a lot of new staff shifts, changes, additions. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, when Brian decided he needed to retire, I stepped into the executive director role. Liz Glashen, who was in Fort Worth but lived closer to Plano, moved into our Plano program director role. And Christy Dobbs, who was the unit coordinator in Fort Worth, took the program director position in Fort Worth. Since then, we also added another unit coordinator, Emily Thompson, to Plano. But more recently, we also had our unit coordinator, Jasmine Cantu, who moved on. She had graduated and decided to take more of a rehab counseling position down at Baylor. So we miss her. But I think that we've adjusted well, and you guys especially have adjusted well, because I know she was a big part of getting the podcast started.
She was, and I've been nice. I haven't bothered her yet. I'm not saying that I'm not gonna. If you're listening, Jasmine, I'm doing my best. I promised I would, but it's kind of where we are. But
so how do we get interns, and what benefits do they bring to the members?
Interns are probably one of the most important groups of volunteers that we have, mostly because they have like a commitment because of their practicums, that we're a practicum site for them. So, volunteers, we have amazing volunteers, but, they can really, I'm not available this week. Interns a lot harder for that. We have some really great relationships with UNT, TWU, St. Augustine, Dallas College, at kind of different levels. And what helps is, it really helps them because this is a really good lived experience, kind of taking them outside of that medical model and letting them get to see that real, like, what's the next step, which is you miss a lot as a student, or at least I did whenever I was a student. And so they really help fill the gap when staff can't be there one-on-one with someone. They can really, pick up on the different activities and things that we do, and they really help with that. Most especially our OT capstone students, who really almost are like full-time staff when they're doing their project.
And I think that's interesting, just to add in, I know, like, a lot of the times the capstones, they're not just coming in and volunteering and working one-on-one, they're actually working on maybe creating programs that will help us going forward as well.
Yeah, our student Jacob, who's been amazing in Plano this year, has really worked on helping members understand like balance and just like what to do with like falls and that kind of stuff. And for some of our members that have been out of therapy for a good number of years, it's always a good refresher on that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and then I know we're still always looking for, I don't want to call them regular volunteers, but we do actively recruit just volunteers.
Yeah.
Whoever we can get, especially when it comes time for big events. And
yeah, so we always have a need for that, especially on the program side of it, but also on the event side of it. And we do usually get a lot of students that are maybe like pre-med, that come through around the summers. We've had some nursing students. I know this summer I'm anticipating someone, a friend of a friend or a daughter of a friend that is wanting to go to SLP school, right? And so this is a really natural place for them to come and volunteer, and we love having them. The members love having them, and I think it's just really mutually beneficial. So definitely, if that's some of our listeners' interests, going to the website and completing the volunteer application. We have them come out and do a tour, much like a member does the tour, and meet with staff to see what the interest is and what days they can come. So definitely always want volunteers.
awesome.
Yeah. So can you tell us what major events that Bind had this year?
Yeah, so we had our usual fundraisers. Our main fundraisers that are events were Synapse Labs that we did for a third time at Toyota Music Factory. They just redid their plaza, and it was really fantastic. And then we had our golf tournament that we did at Tour 18 in Flower Mound. And it was also like, nice weather, a really great space. We had, just have grown both of those events. And of course, we always have North Texas Giving Day, which is more an internal at the clubhouse level. But then we took 5 members and then 4 of the staff to San Antonio for the Clubhouse Texas Summit. And I think that was really beneficial for everyone, because we got to get away a little bit, but also because then you learn from other, and in this case, they're mental health clubhouses. And I just think that that's a really great opportunity for us to be able to educate kind of how we're different, but also to learn from another group of people.
Yeah, no, that was a fun event to go to and learn about the other clubhouses. And some of us actually even presented, and that's always a little scary, but, it was fun.
You guys always do a great job. I'm super confident always whenever you guys do that.
Thank you. So we also wanted to just kind of give a quick update from our opinion on where bindwaves is, just so you know. So we do know that as of today, whenever you're listening to this, we've had over 5,100 downloads. I know that's pretty exciting. Our most listened app seems to be Apple, but we're everywhere. Spotify, all the normal places, YouTube. When this one does air, this will be our 122nd episode. And if I've got it right, we started in 2021.
I think that sounds right.
Yeah. I don't know. I should have looked that up again, but, I'll just blame that on the brain injury. But, so we're pretty excited about that. We're still going strong. We're also listened in 6 different countries, which is crazy to me. I'm like, how did some of these countries even find us? But it's pretty cool.
The world is definitely a smaller place thanks to technology.
Yeah.
So looking back, what do you consider the single biggest success of the Bindwaves podcast so far?
Honestly, it's you guys, because when I've really worked on the outside looking in, and it really required a lot of help from staff in the beginning. And the fact that, Jasmine and Brian, who really helped a lot in the beginning, aren't here, and you guys are continuing to do this work and continuing to be more independent and having newer members come in that really want to challenge themselves, and how you really are able to include them in the podcast team and train them. And now without very much staff support at all, almost at all. So, things like that to me. And then honestly, just like looking at other options. I know that coming in the new year, not to give away too much, I know you're looking at some alternative ways to and groups to kind of reach out to, just to give anyone that's listening, they'll have a different feel on some of the podcasts. So I think it's great the way that you guys have grown. And I hope that you're proud of yourselves, because I think it's amazing. That's one of my favorite things to talk about for anyone I'm, interacting with, brag about, I'll say.
That's great. So this one is kind of a canned question, I'll be honest up front. Our producer helped us with some of the questions. And so are there any concrete examples of a listener, if you're out there listening, or that's possibly an aspiring member who was reached through an episode and then actually came on and became a member at the Brain Injury Network?
Well, of course, your producer, Jessica, is probably the best example, but not just that, because Jessica is someone that was active, and that's how she found us. She's been able to share that, and I've had more people kind of reach out because they've heard the podcast, because you are available kind of different ways. But yeah, Jessica's a really, really good example of that. And for people that come in sometimes that they're not sure maybe that this is a good fit, because they do want to be challenged a little more, we kind of say, okay, listen to the podcast and see if that's something that would interest you. So we kind of do twofold. But yeah, Jess is a really good example.
Yeah.
So looking ahead, what upcoming podcast initiatives are you excited about?
I really want to start hearing, and I know you guys recently asked for feedback, and I really want to start hearing a little bit about the lived experience side of it. So just where you guys give your perspective on things that are happening, in the world of brain injury, in the world of living with the disability, what it's like just navigating social, circles and things like that. I really like hearing that side of things, different things, and really being inclusive. So I'm really super excited, since, my usual is murder podcasts. So.
I know. No, and I think, that we did that one last year. We watched the ramped up video, but I think that's something that, we really want to try to do. And again, the whole goal behind the podcast is we don't want it to just be the podcast team. We want to include all of the Brain Injury Network. So if if we can do more of those, just getting around a table and picking a topic and talking, I think that would be cool. That's kind of what my goal is for next year. I'm not saying it's going to be all that, but we want to throw some of those in here and there. I think that would be the best. But okay, so enough about us. I know y'all care so much. I'm just kidding. But let's talk about maybe some of the things that we don't always like to talk about. We had a lot of challenges this last year, too. Not just, I mean, it's been good, but some of the challenges have been rough for us. So
Yeah. I guess the biggest challenges that we faced have been related to just like the financial side of having a nonprofit. And it's a feeling that it's not exclusive to Bind this year. It kind of started at the beginning of the year when there were cuts to ARPF, so the American Rescue Plan Fund. And over the last few years, money from that has allowed the other clubhouse coalition, so the other mental health clubhouses, to have funding for things related to like research. And some of that research would trickle down to us, right? Like if we did certain things to collect that research, then we would get reimbursed for that stuff. And so this year, when that was cut really early on, that's about a $45,000 hit right at the beginning of our budget. And that was just something that's kind of harder to come back from. In addition, just because of the way things are in the economy, I feel like overall we've had less like individual donations. I mean, of course, people always really step up around North Texas Giving Day, but we're more used to getting some of those things and some financial donations. We have been getting really, people are really responsive to like, hey, we need these kinds of supplies and that. But I would be lying if I wasn't a little bit sad that has gone down, because I mean, really, we rely on a third of our budget really has to do with personal donations. So, just even saying it and asking and saying, honestly, the work is really amazing that we do here, but we could really get help, or it would help us if we could get more of those donors coming in and just seeing what interests them, so that it can kind of offset some of these other cuts. But because of that, some of those cuts in funding and that, we were not able to, or one of our goals was this year to try to look at expanding and specifically into the Houston area. And we had really, really good support in that area. But the first thing you need really is the financial part. And without the financial part, we can't have the staffing that it takes to do something like that. And so while we hope that that's a priority, or that's something that we can do, our priority is the members that we have existing and serving the community that we're in right now.
Yeah, we definitely don't want you to forget about us. But yeah, I'm going to take a quick little break and just remind our listeners, wherever you're listening, especially if you're on Apple, I guess, go ahead and click that like button, click that notify button, click that subscribe button. Like I tell you, just all the buttons that have thumbs up, go ahead and click them. But yeah, so that's kind of the challenges. And we know there's also things that happen outside of the clubhouse it's not just affecting the clubhouse, but there's a lot of outside factors that affect funding and just overall things and how the clubhouse can work.
Yeah, I kind of feel like the biggest one this year has been related to that affected our members, but beyond our members had to do with DART, the Dallas Area Rapid Transit System. So our members, we have members, probably about a third of our membership uses some kind of public transportation, whether that's paratransit services or some variation of that. And I really feel like DART had to fight at the state level for some of that legislation, and members were able to help in the sense of they drew attention through social media. And then when there was potential for cuts to the paratransit or increased cost for individuals that use that service, and our members really stepped up. It was a really great advocacy opportunity. So they went out to speak on behalf of other people's with disabilities, and that fortunately was something that DART decided not to cut. So that was a relief. But honestly, as of today, like as of this morning, and by the time that this comes out, we have another challenge. We are located in Plano, and Plano City Council is having a meeting on November 5th to consider doing a special election to start funding DART and replace it with something else. And that really affects our, not just the members in Plano, because they will have something, but the people that come from other cities that are able to get here because DART does serve Plano. And that has like a big trickle down that, it's going to impact if we're able to stay in this location, and we love this location. So that's something that hasn't been just like about finances, but that's a new challenge that we've had. There's been other cuts to this NIH and the CDC, overall related to research that has to do with brain injury. And that, again, starts having trickle-down effects related to like how we understand concussion and, additional degenerative diseases that brain injury survivors are higher risk for. We've had challenges with DEI initiatives, and that really impacts people that are trying to go back to work or go to school. I feel like if you look at anybody, everybody is some level of DEI, and I think unfortunately that those three letters have become a negative, and that's very unfortunate for everybody, but mostly for a lot of our members and that population. And then right now, we're dealing with just some of the challenges related to people being able to work at the federal level. So all those things eventually trickle down to affect us locally and really to the people that we serve, to their caregivers. And hopefully it's a temporary thing and that kind of, improves soon.
Yeah, we all hope that improves soon. But so now to go a bit more back on the positive note. What can we plan to see next for the clubhouse?
So hindsight's always 2020. When we moved into Fort Worth, we had the hopes that it would grow the way that Plano has grown. But in Fort Worth or in Tarrant County, their transportation is not without a DART system is not as good. And so it has really impacted new members able to kind of come or to come as much as they want to. Now, I will say, I've told this, and I told this to them yesterday, they have really stepped up. They come as often as they can, and they're getting really good at the work order day, the members that can be there. But because of that, we're kind of adjusting our mindset. Brain Injury Network was made into that, or it's that organization because we are going to look beyond just what a clubhouse can do. And we think in the new year, one thing we're going to do is have a version of a mobile clubhouse where we're going to identify places that people are maybe applying, but they can't get to the Fort Worth location, and provide some kind of programming for them on like a rotation basis. And so right now we're looking for grants and things to help fund a staff position for that. But we're going to rely on some of those members that live in those areas. Like Brittany may be coming and teaching like some kind of art type of wellness activity, at a rec center near you sometime soon. So we're in the process of the researching and identifying places where we'll have that and creating a schedule. And then we're going to see, does that help people come in? Maybe they're not quite appropriate to be a member. And then hopefully grow Fort Worth and the needs of Tarrant County, meet them instead of, trying to force someone into the clubhouse that maybe can't get there. Also, we've had some new relationships. We've had people come out. Greg Ellis, who's a former Dallas Cowboy, who came out, and he works with his foundation that has started an app called Getting My Help. So maybe one day soon you guys can have him come out and kind of explain that app. But beyond that, we've had a lot of other people kind of come through and like want to learn about us and making some of those other connections. And then of course we'll have our 2026 Synapse Labs that does look like we will still be at Toyota Music Factory, and then our golf tournament sometime next fall.
So, what is one thing you wish everyone knew about what's been happening behind the scenes at Bind or the Bindwaves podcast over the past year?
Oh, that's a big question. I really feel like what I think that they should know is that so much of what we do really is dictated by how beneficial it is for you as members. Like if it's something that you're passionate about, if it's something you're interested in, we'll find a way to like make it happen. And that's inclusive. Like, the podcast is probably the biggest example of that, but it really is in a lot of different avenues. It's adjusting the way we do our social media to meet the needs and the different levels of the membership and things like that. So I would say that, I want them to understand that like when you come here as a member, we'll find a way to challenge you at your level.
I think that's true. What's one final piece of advice you would like to leave with listeners, whether it's about the Brain Injury Network in general, but just about brain injury, that you want people to be aware of and know? And
mine right now is vote for the people that are going to help you and the things that are your needs. And so that's my biggest piece of advice right now.
Okay. Thanks, Diana, for joining us today. We always appreciate your insight, and we look forward to more conversations with you going forward.
Yeah. And now, for our listeners, we want to wish everyone a fabulous holiday season. We will not be posting any new episodes in December, but we will be back starting in January 2026. Feel free to drop us a note with any suggestions.
And again, thanks to our listeners for listening. And remember, you can find our new episodes on all your favorite platforms and again on Instagram at bindwaves. So until next time.
We hope you've enjoyed listening to Bindwaves and continue to support Brain Injury Network and our nonprofit mission. We support brain injury survivors as they reconnect into life, the community, and the workplace. And we couldn't do that without great listeners like you. We appreciate each and every one of you. Please remember to click the like button, the share button, and the subscribe button on YouTube. And follow us on Instagram at Bindwaves and Brain Injury Network on Facebook. You can email us at bindwaves@thebind.org or go to our website, bindwaves.org, or call us at 972-769-2463. Please continue watching. Until next time.